Heist today, gone tomorrow. Payday 3's second beta has come and gone, and here's a few things that I picked up while I played. Now, I didn't get in the first beta, but luckily they made this one open for PC, and for better or worse, didn't change anything. This video will be in sections, so go ahead and skip the parts you want to see. To not make this video a review of a beta for a game that comes out in roughly a week's time, I'm just going to stick to the stuff that I know is different in the beta compared to the final game. First off, visuals. We still have the old faces for the heisters, which Chainsaw looks the best out of all of them. Dallas is a close second, just due to actually looking that he could be in his mid-50s with gray hair. Hoxton still looks like a baby man, and Wolf looks like he aged 20 years and became a meth head. Going from Payday 2 to 3 is such a real shock compared to what we had before. The world really feels so much more alive compared to the first two games, and the facial animations with the civs and guards are such a great touch. Civs actually being scared for their lives when seeing you, and guards visibly being annoyed when they have to escort you out, really adds so much to the game. Of course, that's going from a game that had everyone's face being as emotive as a wax sculpture or 2012 reaction channel. The models and visuals are only slightly uncanny and have that this is a 3D model in a video game look. I think an apt comparison would be Arkham Knight from my last video.
But that game was made by a larger company with more money and people to work on it, stupid!
While yes, Rocksteady was better off while making the game than Starbreeze with Payday 3, Arkham Knight still runs on Unreal 3, while Payday 3 is on Unreal 4. And I think visually, Arkham Knight comes off a stronger and more visually appealing game. Now, it is set at night, which is a nice, easy way to hide imperfections, but I still feel my point stands. Besides, in time I might not even be able to make this criticism. Starbreeze already confirmed that they will be upgrading to Unreal 5 when they get the chance. So here's hoping that they've already agreed to ship Payday 3 as is and save their energy for enhanced visuals in the future. Performance-wise, the game did stutter and move around weird, but it wasn't too egregious, at least to me. Graphics-wise, I'm at the tail end of what they recommend on the Steam page, but even still, I was able to get a solid 60-70 FPS. Controls-wise, what the hell were they thinking? Shout, spot, and mark all on middle mouse button, throw bag on G, melee on V? I get it, there's new mechanics, we gotta have buttons for them. But why on earth would you screw up everyone's muscle memory from previous games for this? And because this was the old beta, you still couldn't properly change your keybinds. Now admittedly somehow I did end up switching my interact button to mouse 1 and why are tie hands and take hostage the same button anyway? Whatever, I got used to it by the end, but it's still a bit annoying. Now, on to gameplay. It is hard. You hear from other people who played, i.e. YouTubers, that Payday 3 is tough and cops are smart, but oh man, this game is just the right kind of tough. A minor complaint I have about the heist, No Rest for the Wicked as a whole, when stealth fails, there's no carryover of progress. A run can be on the edge of victory only needing the code for the vault, but as soon as that alarm goes, it's straight into loud and you've wasted upwards of 20 minutes of your time. Another great touch I noticed with the NPCs in this game is that if you're not in the same room as them when the alarm goes, they will run. So if the alarm went off, I took it upon myself to race to the front and stop any fleeing civs. Now, a few minor complaints I have about the cop AI is that they seem a little too gung-ho about running up and smacking you if you have a civ, and shields are able to stun you even if they aren't facing you. But other than that, the cops are great. They move in groups and will actively look for flanking routes if you aren't prepared. And they promise to make the cops smarter at launch. Yippee! Combat and skills-wise, the game is hindered by only having the weapons they give you, and only having 7 of the 21 skills does not a build make. I got to play with about half the weapons in the beta, and out of the ones I tried, the Car 4 was my favorite. It had good damage, great range, and quick reload. Seeing as that they've gone back to bars instead of clear stats like at the beginning of Payday 2, so players would get more feel of a weapon, it felt pretty good. Money-wise, the game isn't as harsh as launch Payday 2, but you will need more money if you want to get everything you want. And seeing as that the Starbreeze CEO has now said always online is to prevent cheating, this leads me to believe that the cash will probably be used as a way to buy the premium currency. The system will probably be the same as C-Stacks, the price inflating every time you buy and being on a timer for when you can buy more. The exchange and refresh time will probably be harsher for the sake of encouraging people to spend real money. Maybe it will work off C-stacks instead of cash? I don't know. But that's about it. I'll save my thoughts on everything else next week when the game is out in full. Now, this would have been where I signed off on the video, or rambled a bit more to get to 8 minutes, but I made a promise to cover all the dev diaries, and I'm 5 behind, so before Payday 3 comes out, let's cover what I missed. Dev Diary 4, Art and Animation. This video covers the new layers of detail from the new mocapped animations, destruction of the environment, and the atmosphere of New York and the world as a whole. We are introduced to Joachim Fridlund, a senior animator, Fredrik Larsson, a lead environment artist, and Marielle Carlson, a graphic designer. Joachim explains that the fine, detailed animations like reloads are done by hand, but larger animations are done with mocap. He also says that they've elected to continue the idea of having animations capture the Hollywood feel. If someone is blown up, they go flying back. Fredrik and Marielle come in to explain their work on creating a living, breathing world with ads, signs, lighting, and the environment. We got a good look at the art heist under the surface. They explain that they aim to convey the seedy underbelly of the gallery's owner, and that the logo is on the line between pretentious art dealer and annoying tech bro. We get a display of the new destruction of environments, and are told that when the team is making heists, their goal is to make a Payday version of New York, and not a faithful recreation. Which stands true. During my video covering the stealth trailer, which most people didn't watch, which I don't blame you, I fucked up the audio on that. Anyway, during my research for that video, I found out that the Surface Art Gallery, and the park next to it, is taken directly from the real building and park there, the real place being St. Anne's Warehouse and the Fulton Ferry Park. Of course, both the real places only inspired the heist, but it's really cool that there's a thread of the real world in the game. And a fun thing I noticed during this and other dev videos is that we get the first-person perspective of the gang during the stealth trailer. Episode 5, Heists, we are introduced to Per, a design lead, and the familiar face of Mio and Andreas. We get some insight on how stealth is no longer a one-and-done deal where if you get caught, it's over. You can now make a few attempts if you get caught in the right area, but of course, we've known this since the beta. The game will launch with 8 heists, but at least one more by the end of the year, as we found out in the roadmap. Episode 6, Skills and Progression. We see Mio and Charlie explain that skills will now be on skill lines instead of trees, this giving more wiggle room to mix and match for builds. We get a brief on how C-stacks are more or less there to keep our accounts from inflating to the ludicrous levels in Payday 2. We also get the info that the C in C-stacks refers to CrimeNet, meaning that the full name of C-stacks is CrimeNet Stacks, a niche cryptocurrency associated with CrimeNet. C-stacks also being used to buy weapon presets and cosmetic items. However, they do clarify that C-stacks are not a premium currency. We get a brief on Edge, Grit, and Rush. I'll break these down when the game comes out, but you know that they're a damage, resistance, and speed buff. They also said on launch that there will be 150 levels in Payday 3. 1 through 100 being getting skills, and 100 through 50 being pure bonus, with the promise of more skills and higher ceilings to get them in the future. Instead of 100 to get all skills, it would be 110 or 120. We also get a quick look at the career mode menu, but just wait, we'll get there soon. They also say the idea is to always be working towards something in-game, leveling a weapon, going after skills, things like that. Episode 7, Customization, we are introduced to Philip and Ivan, as they explain how masks and suits are now broken up between common and legendary. Not that they hold any real-world value, rather that that's how they are priced in the in-game store, and what special effects they have, like certain finishes or materials. Other than masks, suits are sticking to a more grounded feeling like the rest of the game. Now I know that is disappointing for some of you, but I'm sure over time the mental illness of Payday 2 will slowly creep back in. But they want to have an overall cohesive feeling to the gang's looks at first. Like Ivan said, you don't come back to the business in a chicken suit. They also reveal along with weapon presets we'll get mask presets. These will usually feature a specific pattern or material, as previously mentioned. Now, the big part of the video is that they show the faces of the gang we'll be having at launch. Now, I did cover this once already in my video talking about Joy and Pearl, but I'll just sum up how I feel about them here. Dallas looks too young, the man should be 54 by the time of Payday 3, give him back his salt and pepper. Hodgson also looks too young, he's 42 in this game. Wolf looks better, he's 44, but his hair's too dark, it should be more brown or dirty blonde of a shade, but this is just way too dark for what we've known of him. Chains looks the best, he's 47 in this game, maybe you could have some more gray hair like Dallas. They also wrap up the video laughing about what all could be customizable on the characters, but I'll just quickly throw in my 2 cents about what I want in Payday 3. All the outfits from Payday the Heist, the suits from Payday 2, a way to have the lightweight ballistic vests underneath their jackets like the old games, their outfits from the web series and trailers, a plain black suit, a way to have armor be visible outside of suits, the outfits from Follow the Money, a version of the live action masks, a way to have the old masks and back plates like Follow the Money instead of the black rotating dial, customizable zip ties so we can have the plain white ties and black ties from live action, the weapons setups from Payday the Heist, a carry handle for the Car 4, concept art Payday 3 Dallas, and Wolf with his blonde wig. I think that's totally reasonable. Let me know what you would want to be customizable for the crew in the comments. Episode 8, Narrative and Sounds. We are introduced to Marcus, the senior writer, as he recaps the ending of Payday 2 on how the gang went happily into retirement at the end of the White House heist. Now, he does say the enemies of the gang, which I made 2 videos on linked in the description, found out that they are still alive and stole pardons. However, to my knowledge, that only happens in the bad ending, but they only show clips from the good ending when talking about this. I don't know, maybe they did end up getting the pardons in the good ending too? I could just be flat out wrong, I've never gotten the good ending, please leave a comment if I fucked up any of that. Anyway, Marcus then lays out what we've known since Starbreeze flew out the YouTubers, and that the gang has come back because the people out to get them hired assassins to take them out, and as a precaution, froze their assets, leaving them with only the clothes on their backs. Now, we only know out of the 22 heisters from Payday 2, only 5 have confirmed to survive their assassination attempts. Dallas, Hoxton, Chains, Wolf, and Joy. Surviving apparently by the intervention of Shade, the new contractor who will be filling Bane and Locke's shoes. Shade warned the 5 members before the attempts on their lives, and afterwards gathered them together in New York to figure out who's behind the conspiracy and plan a swift and brutal retaliation. But first, they need to get back in the game, because they need some money. We also learned that Shade was an old contact of Bane. Now hearing this, I figured this means that she worked as an info broker back in the day for CrimeNet, which makes me wonder, how does CrimeNet work? Did it shut down after the gang retired? Did it keep going with someone new in charge? I always guessed that Bane used middlemen and compartmentalized everything so the gang would only know just enough about the operation. Was Shade one of those middlemen who leaked info back to Bane about jobs? Back on track, we get some clips of Pearl in action, and honestly, she has been growing on me just a bit. We also hear that up front and foremost, the tone of the game is trying to recreate the Hollywood heist movie fantasy, and that despite mowing down entire police departments worth of cops, it's all in a fun, don't think about it, just have fun action movie kind of way. We also get the chance to hear from Daniel Rydberg and Gustavo Coutinho, the audio director and lead composer respectively. We hear how the game wants to keep the feeling grounded but also play into the fantasy. Personally, I've loved the sound design in the beta. Hearing guards walking around has been a real help in stealth. But if I were to complain just a bit, I'd say the Car 4 is a bit quiet and light sounding. I know 5.56 isn't the biggest or loudest round, but it would still be very loud in an urban environment. But they probably just made it quieter so the bigger weapons have more punch, so whatever. We then get into the juicy bits of the video and get shown a feature which I was always hoping was there, cutscenes and a more proper story mode. Cinematics that show the events before a heist and the events after. I really like these cinematics and they remind me very strongly of the scenes from Hitman 2. Which isn't a slight against Payday 3 for aping this style of storytelling. My only grievances in the case of these cinematics would be that they're a step down from the fully rendered ones from Hitman 2016. But that's for another video. It sounds like story-wise the first act of Payday 3 will be focused on finding out the identities of the conspirators, which I can sum up here as everyone the gang has ever wronged. But I did a full video on it. It's in the description. Audience engagement. Anyway, we get a little more insight on the character progression from Payday 2 to now. Dallas being the oldest of the group and the most somber about coming back to the life. And why wouldn't he? He got out. He kept his money. All of his friends are alive. He won. And now it's all been taken away from him. We also hear that while Dallas was living on Cloud 9 during his retirement, Wolf was at his lowest point, which I guess makes sense, but at least to me, judging from Wolf's line during the endings, he probably was just as glad to get out as Dallas. Wolf's supposed last line was "get the fuck out," which is of course a reference to Ulf, the OG Wolf. But to me, I always thought it would be a good idea to see what Wolf did in retirement and bring back an element from Wolf's origin. That being, he's the only heister who has a family. So what happened to them? Well, the way I see it, there's about 4 options. Number 1, they're dead. Somehow, someway, maybe even by Wolf, they died before Payday the Heist. A bit dark, but I think it's unlikely. Number 2, Wolf just ditched them. Wolf broke bad and never looked back. Shame on Wolf. Number 3, they want nothing to do with him. His family saw what he's become and doesn't want to even be associated with him. Or, number 4, which I don't think is the most likely to happen, but I think it's the most fun, Wolf has been secretly staying in touch with his family back home and has been sending them his money. I understand that all of these theories about Wolf's family are a stretch, but hey, it's a part of his backstory, and it would be fun to explore more of the character's feelings and goals, seeing as that we have a new chance with Payday 3. And that's all the rest of the devlogs. I just want to take a moment to circle back around to the beta. Now, believe it or not, but I was skeptical about Payday 3 as a whole. I wasn't there for the loot box fiasco, or Ulf or Simon leaving the company, or Starbreeze going bankrupt, but I am well aware of these things now after learning as much as I can about this franchise over the few years I've been playing. And while I was prepared to get the game for the sake of more videos, the beta has won me over. This game has a well thought out stealth system, the shooting is fun, it caters to all kinds of playstyles. I had a great time even just playing by myself in pubs. Yes, I am worried about how the premium currency is going to be handled. Yes, I am angry that the game is always going to be online like Hitman. And I am most angry about mods, but with all that being said, I still think this game has a hell of a lot of potential to get a lot of things right, and maybe even correct some things along the way. Hell, while I was editing this, they announced that they got rid of Denuvo. So, I'm in. I bit the bullet and bought the gold edition. I've done this not because I'm a die-hard consumer who will eat up anything Starbreeze puts out. I've done this as a customer who has been won over by the quality of the test drive and the dedication of the team for the past 5 years. You got a lot going for you, Starbreeze. Don't fuck it up. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and a comment. Subscribe and hit the bell for notifications on videos. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram. Thank you for watching. See you guys.